the skyrocketing cost of living.
I was skipping meals because I was struggling to afford my food and my rent.
2 million Canadians had to use the food bank in 1 month alone.
No wonder crime is rocketing after 8 years of Justin Trudeau.
Canada is worse than you think. Just 2 years ago, a simple 2-bedroom apartment in Toronto cost on average $2,400 Canadian dollars. Today, that's $3,300, an average increase of 25% per year, and that's not an outlier.
I just found out my rent's gonna be increased from $2,100 a month to $2,400 a month for a 1-bedroom condo in Toronto.
In most Canadian cities, you would need to earn at least double the minimum wage to afford a 1-bedroom apartment, and you can forget about buying. In major cities like Toronto and Vancouver, the minimum income that's required to qualify for a mortgage is double or triple the median household income. This makes buying even unattainable for the top 10% of earners. There is a housing crisis, a cost of living crisis, and now even an immigration crisis. This is a real change from the Canada I know and admire. What has happened?
It's time for a change in this country, my friends, a real change!
This is how living in Canada became impossible with hindsight.
Canadians from all across this great country sent a clear message tonight. It's time for a change in this country, my friends, a real change.
Justin Trudeau was first elected in 2015 with a message of positivity.
This is what positive politics can do.
He built his campaign on hope, and the media often drew comparisons with Obama in the United States.
I want to say this. Many of you have worried that Canada has lost its compassionate and constructive voice in the world. Well, we're back.
On his first day in office, he entered a Montreal metro station to take selfies with commuters. The exchange went viral. The atmosphere was exuberant. There was a feeling of hope and positivity. Trudeau had the second highest approval rating of any new prime minister in Canada's history. To understand how his approval ratings have turned around so dramatically, why Canada is in a housing crisis, a cost of living crisis, and most surprisingly is now struggling with immigration, we need to go back in history. Canada is a nation of immigrants. In the mid-1800s, the population of Canada was almost entirely concentrated on the east coast, along the St. Lawrence River and the Great Lakes. To its west and north lay a vast and sparsely populated area that they wanted to populate. They used immigration as a tool to build their country. They attracted new people with a comprehensive marketing campaign. "Build your nest in Western Canada" was the message, calling it the New El Dorado. Boatloads of prospective migrants arrived in Canada and were vetted by migration officers. They were particularly eager to attract talented farmers. They could help Canada's westward expansion by settling uninhabited areas. They built villages and turned them into cities, attracting commerce and industry, over time strengthening Canada's grip on the West. By 1920, population centres had emerged all along Canada's southern border. They grew from 3 million inhabitants to 9 million. These immigrants were selected on merit, but also on race. Canada wanted to maintain the status of a white man's country. But after World War II, these discriminatory practices came under scrutiny. Canada started to build its modern immigration system. This was based on a points system. Prospective immigrants were scored based on their age, education, training, and language skills. The basic philosophy is that immigrants are selected based on their merit and what they can contribute to the country. This system is still in place in Canada today, making it the oldest immigration system of any country in the OECD. An early challenge was that an increasingly large percentage of newcomers were family members. In 1971, economic migrants made up 73% and family members 21%. But a decade later, this had turned around. Family members were seen as unproductive consumers of welfare benefits, and this prompted the government to make entry requirements stricter. By 1995, the percentage had dropped to 36%. Canada vested a lot of power in the federal executive branch of government, which makes it possible to respond quickly to unwanted flows of migrants. They kept identifying weak spots and making improvements, and by the early 2000s, the system was hailed around the world as one of the best. Even Donald Trump had good things to say about it.
Nations around the world, like Canada, have a merit-based immigration system.
But what was most impressive were Canada's exceptionally high levels of public acceptance. Immigration, until recently, wasn't a controversial issue. In 2018, 2/3 of Canadians believed that immigration was a good thing for their country, the highest level of any country in the OECD. But that wouldn't last.
Canadians are almost universally positively inclined towards immigration. We know that immigration is a source of strength and resilience and growth for our communities, and that's a wonderful thing we should be very, very proud of.
Public opinion on immigration has shifted dramatically during the last years, from people feeling overwhelmingly supportive to most people feeling concerned. During the first 4 years under Trudeau, the population grew at a record pace, mostly because of immigration, and it slowed during the pandemic, and that's where the problem started. Canada was facing a host of challenges. One of them was a shortage of workers. There are difficulties in all major sectors, from construction to healthcare. Companies were just unable to find the people with the right skills.
It's simple to me. Canada needs more people.
This was the new Minister of Immigration.
Canadians understand the need to continue to grow our population if we're going to meet the needs of the labour force.
Fraser, like many before him, saw immigration as a tool to fix specific issues, the worker shortage, but also demographics.
You know, immigration in Canada is not just something that we do, it's who we are. It's who we've always been.
All across the Western world, the population is aging, and that is an issue. But in Canada, it is extreme. In 1971, there were 7 people of working age for each senior. In 2012, this was down to 4. The projection is that there will only be 2 workers for every retiree by 2036. The number of Canadians that are over the age of 75 will double over the next 2 decades, while fewer people are entering the workforce.
If we don't do something to correct this demographic trend, the conversation we're going to have 10 or 15 years from now won't be about labour shortages. It's going to be about whether we have the economic capacity to continue to fund schools and hospitals and public services that I think we too often take for granted.
This inspired a radical new immigration plan. In 2022, Canada had set a record population growth, and they announced to welcome 465,000 permanent residents in 2023, 485,000 in 2024, and 500,000 in 2025.
And we are staring at one of the greatest economic opportunities of our time when people around the world are looking to move, and Canada has become the world's top destination for people who are thinking of leaving their country of origin.